What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. You all voted for it, and I am very happy to be bringing it to you. Today, I am bringing you Rescue Ace Snake Eye. Now, I know, Snake Eye, it's been around for a year now at this point. Like, around this time, that's when Poplar came out, I believe. But Snake Eye has gotten a lot of reprints as of recent, which, as you can see the price tag, makes it pretty damn cheap, honestly. It's not too expensive. 130 bucks for full main deck and full extra deck with staples like double SP, like Typhon, you know. So now that your dollar goes a little bit further in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Economy, let me talk about this deck. Now, this deck used to be super powerful when Snake Eye first was like, popping off. It was like the main thing to be doing. And then people realized, wait a minute, we can just play a million non-engine and not have to play the Rescue Ace cards and just play Snake Eye. Well, now that Snake Eye's been hit with one Ash, one Poplar, it significantly reduces the repeatability of the combo line. But with the Rescue Ace cards, we can sit very pretty knowing that if all else fails, we can set 4 back rows straight from deck. So that's enough yapping about what I hope the deck can do. Let's get into the card by card. Starting off, we're going to talk about our Rescue Ace cards. We're going to start off with Reinforcement of the Army, plus all of our Warriors, being one copy of Rescue Ace Airlifter, which when normal or special, allows us to add a Rescue Ace spell from our deck to our hand. And when our opponent activates a monster effect on field, quick effect, we can tribute this card from our hand or face of field to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from our hand except for itself, and that is a hard once per turn for each effect. Now, this card is very good, as you can see the fact that it is at 1. It's very similar to Reinforcement of the Army and the Snake Eye cards, because this adds one of the better spells in the entire deck, being Emergency, when we'll get to it when we get to it. But this card is incredible, and if we could be playing 3, we would be playing 3. Next up, we're on triple copies of Rescue Ace Impulse. This is another warrior for the Reinforcement of the Army. These are our only warriors in the deck, so these are the only targets. And this card reads, during our main phase, we can choose the one effect monster our opponent controls with the highest attack if tied, and neither player can activate that monster's effects on the field this turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, we can tribute this card from our hand or face of field, special summon one machine Rescue Ace monster from our deck. We can use each of the following effects of Rescue Ace Impulse once per turn. Now, this card might seem a little bit mid, especially given that first effect, where it's kind of like a whack-ass Forbidden Chalice, but this card is really good in the fact that it lets us search for any of our following Rescue Aces, the Rescue Aces I'm about to talk to, and just, plop them right onto board for you. So, instead of talking about it in like the theoretical sense, let's just talk about our machine Rescue Ace monsters. Starting off with triple copies of Rescue Ace Hydrant. This is a level 1 fire. Oh no, you know what's going to be happening with this card. And it is a machine. While you control a Rescue Ace monster other than Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. Also, your opponents cannot target this card with card effects, making it pretty difficult to remove unless they have something like a Dingirsu up their sleeve. You can only use each of the following effects of Rescue Ace Hydrant once per turn. Once per turn, you can activate a quick play spell or trap card that was set by the effect of your Rescue Ace card the turn it was set. During your main phase, you can add one Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand, except for Rescue Ace Hydrant. Now, that last effect, both of those effects are ignition effects, but both of them are incredibly strong. So, in fact, let's actually talk about it, because we want to be actually activating the cards that we set, because all our Rescue Ace cards are either quick play cards or they're going to be trap cards in regards to our spell and trap lineup. And the fact that our cards allow us to set them straight from deck means, oh, that's really cool. We get a plus massively, but we don't get to use them immediately. Well, Hydrant says, we get to immediately activate one of them of our choice. And this makes it so we are really able to combo off to the moon. We're on one copy of Rescue Ace Fire Attacker. If you were to cut something, I would say this probably is one of the cuttable cards. If a Rescue Ace monster is no more special summon to your field except for itself, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a card is added to your opponent's hand except by drawing it, except during the damage step, you can draw 2 cards and discard 1 card, and you can use each effect of Fire Attacker once per turn. Now, this card doesn't do anything to proactively, disassemble our opponent's board. However, it can dig us a little bit deeper in order to find answers, as well as it's just an extender, If we summon a Rescue Ace, we get to summon this guy out of hand, not that bad of a deal given that it's just a freebie, So we're on one copy of Fire Attacker. It's also Machine. And then this is the main card of the deck. 2 copies of Rescue Ace Turbulence. It is a level 9 machine. You can banish 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells / normal traps with different names directly from your deck. If another card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it. Really powerful card. The conditional destruction is a little bit iffy. However, the main effect of this card is the fact that you can just, at ignition, set 4 cards, which is an insane value generation, like, power move. It's kind of like a flex on your opponent. Like, let me search through my deck. Let me pull out 4 cards. You know what I mean? You know how it should be. Like, that shit's insane. And Turbulence is one of the main reasons this deck's even viable in the first place. We're also on 2 copies of Rescue Ace Preventer. You can banish 1 other Rescue Ace card from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, so it's kind of like a mini Turbulence in that regard. If you control another Rescue Ace monster, quick effect, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and Book of Moon it. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 of your banished Rescue Ace monsters, except for a level 8 monster, and special summon it. So it even gets back the card that you theoretically banished with the summoning condition. So this card is fantastic, and this is one of our main ways to actually set up monster interaction on our end board, because most of our interaction is primarily going to be located in our spell and trap cards, so this allows us to add an additional layer to that pie. Or I guess it would be more of a lasagna and less than of a pie. But now let's go over our Rescue Ace spell traps. Our best one, Emergency, we're playing 3 of. It's always treated as a Rescue Ace card. All of our spell and trap cards are going to be reading that, so we're not going to cover that on other ones. You can special summon 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck in defense position, then tribute a Rescue Ace monster from your hand or field. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Rescue Ace trap in your graveyard, and set it, and you can only use each effect of Emergency once per turn. This card is fantastic with the Diabell Star engine because it allows us to get rid of our excess traps in our hand without any worry in the world about, no, we're not going to have access to that trap anymore. Well, this card just allows us to reset it just for using it previously in the turn. So, fantastic card. It's an E-Telly. We're playing 3 of it. It's also a card that we can set off of our Turbulence, since it is a Rescue Ace card, if we happen to have drawn one of our other spells or traps, which we're going to cover right now. 1 copy of Alert, 1 copy of Rescue, 1 copy of Extinguish, and 1 copy of Contain. Alert reads, add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. Now, we want to be activating these when we have Hydrant on field in order to get the most out of them. So this is either a salvage if we don't have Hydrant, or it's a reinforcement of the army if we do have Hydrant. And reinforcement of the army is a lot better than salvages. And we're on 1 copy of Rescue. Target with Rescue Ace in your graveyard, or if you control Hydrant, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard instead. Special summon it to your field, and you can only activate 1 Rescue per turn. And because this is a quick effect, it is quite good interaction, especially to disrupt your opponent's graveyard if you are going that way, or to extend your own combos by, bringing back a Rescue Ace card from your graveyard. So this card's good even without Hydrant on field. We're on 1 copy of the Extinguish. If you control a Rescue Ace monster, target an effect monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and then if you currently control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent cannot activate the effects of that destroyed monster or monster with its original name this turn. So even if they bring it back with something like Promethean Princess, if it was, for example, I don't know, a Snake Eye Ash, we are able to prevent that from being able to use its on-field ignition effect, which is, just very bueno. And then we're on 1 copy of Contain. If you control a Rescue Ace monster, target an effect monster your opponent controls. This turn, that effect monster cannot attack and its effects are negated. If you control Hydrant at the resolution of this card effect, it also cannot be used for a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link Summon, which is really brutal because it means it's like a mini D barrier, or rather closer to a no material, actually. Remember that card? Remember no material? Let me put it up on screen for you real quick. There it is. There's the gnome. It's like you gnomed your opponent, But that's it for our Rescue Ace cards. We're only playing about 20 in the main deck, which I say only, but it is quite a large amount for a Snake Eye build to be playing that much of the other engine. But now let's cover our Snake Eye cards. I'm going to be a little bit less in-depth about these cards just because, it's a little bit set in stone how you play Snake Eye, but I will note that we are not playing the field spell or Snake Eye Diabell Star just to cut back on deck space, as well as we don't want to be running too many one-of cards because that'll make our hands quite bricky. And the reason we are playing 45 is to lower the chances of us drawing cards like Snake Eye Flamberge Dragon or our alert, rescue, extinguish, and contain, as well as fire attacker. But we want to reduce that chance of us drawing those cards as much as possible, so we're playing more cards in order to reduce that chance. So we're on triple copies of Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, allowing us to add a Diabell Star from deck to hand. Triple Diabell Star, allowing us to pitch a card from either our field or our hand, that's and special summon it. And when summoned, allows us to grab a Sinful Spoil from deck to hand, either allowing us to grab another Seeker or our next card, Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye, allowing us to send a face-up card we control to the graveyard to special summon a level 1 fire from our deck, which is either going to be a Snake Eye or, Hydrant, because it is a level 1 fire. One copy of 1-for-1, just another copy of Original Sinful Spoil, again allowing us to grab either Hydrant or a Snake Eye. And then our Snake Eyes, 1 copy of Ash, 2 copies of Oak, 1 copy of Poplar, and 1 copy of Flambussy Dragon. We're on triple copies of Bonfire just to up our Poplar and Snake Eye Ash count, so we're technically playing 4 and 4 of them. 1 copy of Called by the Grave for hand trap mitigation, 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet in order to break boards, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and triple copies of Infinite Impermanence for our hand traps. We are a little bit hand trap light. We are able to add more hand traps. Cards I would remove if you wanted to add more hand traps would be like Fire Attacker. You'd be able to remove the droplets if you really didn't care for the board breaking potential and wanted to just prevent them from making that board in the first place. And if you were on less of a budget, you'd be able to play a card like Dominus Impulse, because we do not have any lights, earths, or winds in our deck, except for maybe in the extra deck. And so this card's downside has no meaning on us, and it's just a really powerful card. Like, if you can play this card, you should be playing this card in your decks. Although I do understand if not, because you can see how the price shot up after I put this card in. It is quite pricey at the moment, so I would wait for a reprint if you're one of the more budget duelists. But that's it for our main deck. Now let's cover our extra. We're on 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, just to be able to get our level 1s off the field, and if our opponent has poor zone placement, we can own them for that. We're on Charmers, Hita, and Dark, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 2 copies of SP Little Knight. This card plays really well at the Rescue Aces, allowing us to dodge Imperm on our Rescue Ace Turbulence. Just a really powerful, synergistic effect that we can get going on. And we do want to be able to use multiple SPs throughout the course of the game. 1 copy of Sunlight Wolf and 1 copy of Heat Soul in order to get a lot of card advantage. 1 copy of Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames. It is a fire deck. This card brings back fires from the graveyard. You know how it be. We are trying to stay a little bit budget-minded, so we are playing Ambler Whale, but if we did not want to play Ambler Whale, we are able to play the Salamangreat Great Raging Phoenix. It is just going to be, $35 instead of, let's see what the difference actually is. $35 instead of $2. So that's a decision you got to make, not me. So if you wanted to be optimal, Raging Phoenix is better, but if you were to say budget, Ambler Whale is fine. We're on 1 copy of the Zelantis in order to pair with either the Ambler Whale or the Raging Phoenix. 1 copy of Accessing the Code Talker in order to remove boards. 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is my personal choice. I just love Underworld Goddess so goddamn much. It's amazing. It allows you to remove super problematic cards. Like if you have an issue with towers like boss monsters, like the big ass Raid Raptor guy, summon an Underworld Goddess, eat that bad boy up, negate their whole ass board, and get a negation that's, it is a little bit of a situational negation, but there are enough decks in the format that want to be bringing back cards from the graveyard where it does come up, and it will probably come up every single turn of the game. And then 1 copy of Typhon Sky Crisis is when we're going second. But that's going to be about it for the deck profile. Thank you all so much for watching. If you still are, thank you to my 1 member. Thank you, Ari. If you want to become a member, stay tuned to the end of the video and you can find out the benefits there. But yeah, that's me about it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you all later. Bye-bye. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wanted to talk to more Yu-Gi-Oh players like yourself, I would highly recommend checking out our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description, as well as the QR code on screen. We do talk somewhat frequently about Yu-Gi-Oh and the current meta, so I would really enjoy to see you there. As well as we do recently now have channel memberships available on our YouTube channel. where we have 3 different tiers. We have Super Supporter at $2 a month, where you get loyalty badges, emojis, guaranteed comment responses, a shout out at the end of every video, as well as access to the members only Discord channel, where you get early sneak peeks at future videos. There is the Giga Supporter at $5 a month, where you have early access to all new videos about a day or two before they go up, as well as all the previous offers. And for $15 a month, we do have our final tier, which is going to be Femboy Fanatic. You get a guaranteed customized video every single month, as well as 1 hour of my time. Could be for anything you'd like. You want a duel? Absolutely. You want me to help build a deck? Absolutely. You want to play some Helldivers? Sure. I'll do anything for an hour once a month. But supporting does help me out quite a lot, and it does help me produce all of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye bye.